Welcome back to another episode on the J.A.T side. I'm your host, Jalen Austin Taylor, and today is March 16th, 2026, and I am back today for another episode on the podcast. And if you can tell, as you can tell by the title, today we are going to be talking about March Madness, and I will be making my March Madness bracket on this episode. Live on this episode, I'll be making my March Madness bracket. There you go. I know the audio probably was a little bit maybe a little bit echoey at first because I wasn't talking directly into the mic, but the audio should be good now. So I had this idea earlier, and that idea was to make my March Madness bracket for this year's March Madness tournament on my podcast, live on the podcast. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this episode. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Please let me know how you guys like this and any things you would do or add, or if you want to just let me know about your thoughts on this year's March Madness tournament. Feel free to let me know. But without further ado, I have just one announcement before actually we get into today's episode. I will be having a special guest on this week. That episode will either come out tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm just gonna have to play it by ear at this point. At this moment, I'll have to play it by ear. So that episode will be coming out by Wednesday at the latest, though. So expect that episode with the special guest. It's gonna be a first-time guest, new guest on the J.A.T side. So I'm super excited for that, and I think that you guys will enjoy the episode. So can't wait for you guys to see it, and I can't wait to get that episode out for you guys this week. So that's just the only announcement I really have. It is still Women's History Month, and we're celebrating women's history all throughout the month of March. So for today, just like I did in the episode 2 weeks ago, I'm going to give a fun fact on women's history on this day in women's history on March 16th. So let's see. All right, so today in women's history. See. All right, today on March 16th, 1912, Pat Nixon, who became a pioneering first lady for international diplomacy and advocacy for volunteerism, was born. So that's just a fun fact. And she was born Thelma Catherine Pat Ryan, and she was the first lady from 1969 to 1974. She was the wife of former President Richard Nixon, and she was also involved in that historic 1972 trip to China. So I did not know that. So I just learned something as well. So happy birthday to Pat Nixon. I don't think she's still alive. Yeah, she died in 1993. So this would be her. She was born in 1912. This would be her 114th birthday today if she was still alive. So happy birthday to the late Pat Nixon. So that's your fun fact today in women's history. But without further ado, we're gonna get into the main topic of today's episode, which is, of course, making my 2026 March Madness brackets live. So, because it is Women's History Month, I'm actually going to start with the women. I'm going to start making my women's bracket. And there's already on ESPN, I'm doing mine on ESPN. You guys can create up to 25 free brackets on ESPN before March Madness officially start. So be sure to create your bracket before the tournament starts. And there's never been a perfect March Madness bracket, so maybe this year somebody will get one. We will see. But I'm gonna start off with the women's bracket. So round of 64 in Regional 1, we have number 1 UConn versus number 16 UTSA, the Road Runners. This is going to be on March 21st, which is this Saturday at 3 p.m. I think, UConn is one of the greatest women's college basketball programs of all time. So I'm gonna take UConn. This is an easy decision for me. I don't think the Roadrunners are gonna be able to pull off this upset. I will be very, very shocked if they did. All right, on to the next matchup. We got number 8 Iowa State versus number 9 Syracuse. And I'm gonna be completely honest. I have not watched either one of these teams this season for women's college basketball. So I'm just gonna go with my gut here. I'm gonna take Syracuse to move on to this round of 32 to face UConn. All right. Also, moving down in Regional 1, we got number 5 Maryland taking on number 12 Murray State. This game is going to be on March 20th, this Friday at 3 p.m. I forgot to mention the Syracuse and Iowa State matchup will be March 21st on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. And the women's tournament is a little bit different than the men's tournament, just in case, you were wondering why I wasn't saying East or West or Midwest or South, because they don't do that. They just do Regional 1, Regional 2, Regional 3, and Regional 4. That's how the women's bracket does it. Just to provide some clarification. So, now that I've got that out the way, let's continue to move on here. I'm going to take Maryland, the number 5 seed, to defeat Murray State and move on to the round of 32. But once again, those are two sets of teams that I have not watched this year, but I'm going to take Maryland. All right. We got our next matchup in Regional 1. Number 4, North Carolina, taking on number 13, Western Illinois. And North Carolina actually gets to host this game, and I think their home court advantage will do them well. And I think that they will be able to advance to the second round, the round of 32, and face the Maryland Terrapins. So that's another thing that's different about the women's tournament. In the men's tournament, the women's tournament, your top seed in that first 2 rounds will get to host. They actually will get to host those first 2 games if they win. So North Carolina being the number 4 seed in their little bracket, that little mini bracket, you got the 4 and the 13 and the 5 and the 12. North Carolina is the host because they're the highest seed. And then UConn, the number 1 seed, is the host of that little mini bracket with UConn, UTSA, and then Iowa State and Syracuse. All right, moving on. Number 6, Notre Dame, taking on number 11, Fairfield. Anna Hidalgo, one of the best players in the country. This is one team that I actually have watched. Notre Dame, I mean, they have been a pretty good team this year. Once again, just a team that I feel like definitely has an opportunity to make a deep run, even though they're a number 6 seed. I think that Notre Dame has an opportunity to really make some noise in this women's tournament. So I'm going to take them to advance to the round of 32 to face either Ohio State or Howard, which is the next matchup. Number 3 Ohio State versus number 14 Howard. This game is going to be early Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. The Notre Dame game will follow that one at 2 p.m. So we got number 3 Ohio State versus number 14 Howard. I'm going to take Ohio State. Both of these teams actually have the same record of 26-7. It will be very interesting to see if Howard's able to compete with a powerhouse like Ohio State. So Ohio State being able to host, and I think that's going to allow them to win. And this is crazy, but they're favored to win by 35.5. So that's kind of a crazy line, but that's what it's sitting at right now, about 5 days before tip off. All right, moving on to the next matchup in Regional 1. This is the second to last matchup for the round of 64. We got number 7 Illinois and number 10 Colorado, and another two teams that I have not watched at all in women's college basketball. So I'm going to just take number 7 Illinois to get the job done. And then final Regional 1 round of 64 matchup, we got number 2 Vanderbilt, SEC school, which I've watched a little bit of. And we got number 15 High Point. I'm going to take Vanderbilt. They're going to be at home, playing on their home court. I think that'll do them well. They have one of the best players in the country, Michaela Blakes, averaging 27 points per game, about 4 rebounds and about 4 assists as well. So she is one of the top players in the country. It's going to be exciting to see how far she can take the Vanderbilt women. So now, moving on to Regional 4, we got Dawn Staley in the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm going to be moving a little bit more quickly here so that I can get to the men's bracket. And also, so this episode doesn't end up being 45 minutes. All right, we got number 1 South Carolina taking on the winner of the first 4 game. It looks like it's going to be Samford versus somebody. Let me look that up real quick. Women's first 4. We got, it's going to be Southern University versus Samford is going to take on the winner of South Carolina, but I don't even think it really matters who South Carolina is going to play because I have them winning that game. All right, we got number 8 Clemson versus number 9 Southern California. I'm going to take I don't know. I'm going to take Clemson. So it's going to be a rivalry game in that round of 32, South Carolina versus Clemson. That should be a good one. All right, we got number 5 Michigan State versus number 12 Colorado State. I'm going to take Michigan State. Number 4 Oklahoma versus number 13 Idaho. I'm actually going to take Idaho here. I'm going to take Idaho to upset Oklahoma and go and face Michigan State. All right, I got number 6 Washington versus number 11 South Dakota State. I'm going to take Washington. We got number 3 TCU versus number 14 UC San Diego. And the women's UC San Diego team makes some noises here in the tournament. I'm going to say no. I'm going to take TCU to go face Washington. All right, we got Georgia, the number 7 Lady Dogs, facing the winner of Virginia and Arizona State. I'm going to take the Lady Dogs to advance to the round of 32. And finally, to round out Regional 4 for the round of 64, we got number 2 Iowa versus number 15 FDU. I'm taking Iowa. I don't think there's going to be an upset there on Iowa's home floor. So yeah, I don't anticipate that. All right. Regional 2, UCLA, halfway done with the round of 64. UCLA versus California Baptist. I'm taking UCLA. In-state matchup there. Oklahoma State versus Princeton. 8 versus 9. I'm going to take Oklahoma State. Number 5 Ole Miss versus number 12 Gonzaga. I'm going to take number 12 Gonzaga. Although Ole Miss has had a pretty good season as they got a number 5 seed. I'm going to take Gonzaga. All right. We got Minnesota versus Green Bay. I'm going to take Green Bay. So I'm going with 2 upsets back to back there. I'm taking the number 13 seed and I'm taking the number 12 seed. I got number 6 Baylor versus number 11, the winner of either Nebraska or Richmond. I'm going to take Baylor to win that game. And number 3 Duke versus number 14 Charleston. I'm going to take Duke. Number 7 Texas Tech versus number 10 Villanova. I'm going to take Villanova. Number 2 LSU versus number 15 Jacksonville. I'm going to take LSU. And Flaw J in Malaysia Full Volley. I'm going to take them to beat number 15 seed Jacksonville on their home floor. That game is on Friday night at 6 p.m. for those who are wondering. All right, we got Regional 3 to round up this round of 64. We got the number 1 Texas Longhorns facing off against the winner of St. SF Austin and Missouri State. So I'm going to take Texas, Oregon, and Virginia Tech. I'm going to take Oregon. I'm going to take Oregon. All right, we got Kentucky and JMU. I'm going to take JMU to make some noise and knock off Kentucky. We got number 4, West Virginia versus number 13, Miami, Ohio. I'm going to take West Virginia to beat Miami, Ohio. Although the Miami, Ohio, we've been talking so much about the Miami, Ohio men's basketball team that we honestly haven't really paid too much attention to the Miami, Ohio women's basketball team, who was 28-6 this year. So they have a pretty good overall, men and women combined. And that's a pretty good combined record right there for Miami, Ohio. We got number 6, Alabama versus number 11, Rhode Island, who is 28-4, by the way. Rhode Island is actually favored to win the game by 7.5 points, despite being the lower seed. But I'm going to take the University of Alabama to defeat Rhode Island. We got number 3, Louisville versus number 14, Vermont. I'm going to take Louisville. Number 7, NC State versus number 10, Tennessee. I'm going to take Tennessee. All right, number 2, Michigan versus number 15, Holy Cross. I'm going to take number 2, Michigan. Now on to the round of 32. Back up to Regional 1. We got UConn versus Syracuse. I'm going to take UConn. We got Maryland versus North Carolina. I'm going to take North Carolina. We got Notre Dame versus Ohio State. 2 of the most prestigious universities in the country. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Hannah Hidalgo to knock off the juggernaut in Ohio State. And I expect her to have a great performance. I think that's going to be a great game, though. All right, we got number 7, Illinois versus number 2, Vanderbilt. I'm going to take Vanderbilt and Michaela Blakes to lead her team to a victory. That would be a great matchup. I mean, can we just talk about that matchup for a second? We would have 2 of the very best players in women's college basketball face off in that Sweet 16. It would be Michaela Blakes, who's, like I said, averaging 27, 4 and 4, versus Hannah Hidalgo, who was averaging 25, 6 and 5. Man, that would be a great matchup. So I really hope it turns out like the way that I am predicting it right now. All right, moving on. Regional 4. We got number 1, South Carolina, number 8, Clemson, in-state rivalry. This will be a big game, and no, I can't do that. I'm not going to take Clemson to upset South Carolina. I can't do that to Dawn. I'm taking South Carolina. Number 5, Michigan State versus number 13, Idaho. I'm going to take Michigan State. Washington versus TCU. I'm going to take TCU. Georgia versus Iowa. I'm going to take Iowa. Sorry, Georgia fans, but I'm going to have to take Iowa on their home court. I believe they will be on their home court. So yeah, so I'm going to have to take Iowa. All right, we got Regional 2 now. UCLA, Oklahoma State. I'm gonna actually take Oklahoma State to upset the UCLA number 1 seed UCLA Bruins, who are 31-1. Unlikely, but it could happen. Number 12, Gonzaga versus number 13, Green Bay. I'm gonna take Gonzaga. Number 6, Baylor versus number 3, Duke. I'm going to take the Blue Devils. Number 10, Villanova versus number 2, LSU. I'm going to take Villanova to upset the number 2 seed LSU Tigers. That might be a bold take right there, but I'm going to do it. All right, Regional 3, we got Texas and Oregon. I'm going to take number 1, Texas. Number 12, James Madison versus number 4, West Virginia. I'm going to take West Virginia. Number 6, Alabama versus number 3, Louisville. I'm going to have to take Louisville. Probably be on their home court. Shout out to Diana Collins, though. Former Brookwood High School. 2,000 point scorer in high school. So, very good player. She actually started her career off at Ohio State and then transferred to Alabama a couple years ago. All right, we got for the final round of 32 matchup, we got number 10 Tennessee versus number 2 Michigan. I'm going to take number 2 Michigan. All right, we got the Sweet 16. We got UConn and North Carolina. This is honestly, the Regional 1 Sweet 16 matchups, if this works out the way that I have it on my bracket, I think this is must-see TV. We got UConn and North Carolina. I'm going to take UConn. We got Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. Matchup between two of the best women's college basketball players in the country. And I'm going to take Notre Dame to beat Michaela Blake's and Vanderbilt. But I think that'll be a great game. And we got South Carolina versus Michigan State. I'm going to take South Carolina, Dawn Staley, to go to the Elite Eight for I don't even know how many years in a row. TCU versus Iowa. I'm going to take Iowa. Oklahoma State versus Gonzaga. I'm going to take Oklahoma State. Number 3 Duke versus number 10 Villanova. I'm going to take the Blue Devils. All right, Texas versus West Virginia. Former conference rivals, conference opponents, but now Texas is in the SEC. I'm going to take Texas. Louisville and Michigan. I'm going to take Louisville. So the Elite Eight we got from Regional 1, UConn and Notre Dame. I'm going to take UConn. I think Hannah Hidalgo and her run ends in the Elite Eight to a very good, very well-coached team in UConn, who is 34-0 on the season. So I got UConn going to the Final Four. We got South Carolina and Iowa. I'm going to take South Carolina to beat Iowa. South Carolina got beat in the SEC championship game badly. So I think Dawn Staley is going to really have her team fired up, and I think they're going to use that as fuel for this whole tournament. So in the bottom, Regional 2, we got Oklahoma State and Duke. I'm going to take Duke. We got Texas and Louisville. I'm going to take Louisville to upset. I don't even know if that'll be an upset, but upset the number 1 seed, Texas Longhorns. We got UConn and South Carolina. Look at this, 34-0 UConn versus number 1 versus number 1 right here, 31-3 South Carolina. So I think UConn would be 37-0 by the time they got to the Final Four, or 38-0. UConn would be 38-0 if my bracket turns out to be correct. So it would be 38-0 UConn versus 35-3 South Carolina. I'm gonna take UConn to stay perfect, and we're gonna have Duke versus Louisville. I'm gonna take Duke to defeat Louisville. UConn versus Duke in the national championship for the women. I'm going to take UConn to finish at 40-0. How many total points will be scored in the championship game? I'm going to go with 4. Actually, I'm going to go with 125. 125 total points to be scored in the national championship game. All right, submit bracket. All right. So I got a bracket in. I just did my women's bracket. Now I'm going to do my men's bracket. So just noting this, if you want to skip to the men's picks, starts at 23.50. All right. Starting off, round of 64 for the men. We got, all right, here we go. So the men's tournament, there has been 9.3 million brackets created on ESPN for free. You can create up to 25 brackets. So got number 1 Duke in the East. Number 1 Duke versus number 16 Siena. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But I got Duke. Number 8 Ohio State. Number 9 TCU. I'm going to take Ohio State to get the job done. I think Ohio State, they are a number 8 seed, but I think Ohio State is a very good team, and I think they'll get the job done. Number 5 St. John's versus number 12 Northern Iowa. I'm going to take St. John's. Number 4 Kansas versus number 13 California Baptist. I'm going to take those Jayhawks. Number 6 Louisville versus number 11 South Florida. I'm going to take Louisville. Although South Florida is on a roll, I will say South Florida has won a lot recently, and they are on a roll. But I'm going to take Louisville regardless. Number 3, Michigan State versus number 14, North Dakota State. Could we potentially see Tom Izzo get knocked out in the round of 64? I say no. Number 3, Michigan State advances. Number 7, UCLA versus number 10, UCF. I'm going to take UCF. Number 2, UConn versus number 15, Furman. I'm going to take UConn. One to the south. We got Florida versus the winner of that first 4 game. I don't care who wins that game. We're going with the number 1 seed Gators. Number 8, Clemson versus number 9, Iowa. I'm going to take Clemson. Number 5, Vanderbilt versus number 12, McNeese. I'm going to take McNeese. Amir Khan leading the McNeese Cowboys. Remember, McNeese was a number 12 seed last year, and they knocked off Clemson in the round of 64. Nobody thought they could beat them, and they went out there and beat them. Number 4, Nebraska versus number 13, Troy. I'm going with number 4, Nebraska. Number 6, UNC versus number 11, VCU. Remember, North Carolina does not have star player, projected lottery pick Caleb Wilson. He will not be playing. He's out for the season, so I'm going to have to take VCU. Number 3, Illinois versus number 14, Penn. Led, by TJ Smart. I think that's his name, TJ Smart, who dropped, or TJ Power, TJ Power, who dropped 44 points in the Ivy League championship game, but I don't think it'll be enough. Even if he has another 40 ball, I think Illinois wins. Number 7, St. Mary's versus number 10, Texas A&M. I'm taking Texas A&M. Number 2, Houston versus number 15, Idaho. I'm taking Houston to beat the Fighting Potatoes. All right, on to the West region. We got Arizona versus Long Island. I'm taking Arizona, no questions asked. Number 8, Villanova versus number 9, Utah State. I'm taking Villanova. Number 5, Wisconsin versus number 12, High Point. Wisconsin. Arkansas and Hawaii. I'm taking Arkansas. BYU versus the winner of Texas and North Carolina State. I'm taking BYU and AJ DeBanta. Number 3, Gonzaga versus number 14, Kennesaw State. I'm going to take Kennesaw State to upset Gonzaga. Number 7, Miami versus number 10, Missouri. I'm going to take Miami. Number 2, Purdue versus number 15, Queens. I'm going to take Purdue. On to the Midwest to round out the round of 64. We got Michigan versus the winner of UMBC and Howard. I'm taking Michigan. We got Georgia and St. Louis. I'm taking Georgia. Texas Tech and Akron. I'm going to take Texas Tech. Alabama and Hofstra. A current player in Alabama just got arrested today. Aiden Holloway, their second leading scorer, who's averaging 16.8 points per game, was arrested today. So I don't know about his status for Friday. His status is in the air right now. I don't know if he will play or not, but if he does not play, it's going to be a big impact on Alabama's team because he is one of the best scorers that they have. It looks like he was released on bond, but of course, I'm not sure if he will be playing. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if he will play. So just assuming that he won't play, I'm still going to take Alabama, but it may be closer than it would have been if he would have been playing. If you want to know when that game is tipping off, it's going to be on March 20th, this Friday at 3:15 p.m. So Tennessee versus Miami, Ohio, or SMU. I'm going to take Miami, Ohio. I think they're going to beat SMU. and I think they will knock off Tennessee. I think they have a lot to prove. They're 31-1, and I think they're going to prove why they should have been or why they got selected to be in March Madness. I think they will prove that. All right, we got number 3 Virginia versus number 14 Wright State. I'm going to take Virginia. Kentucky and Santa Clara. I'm going to take Santa Clara. Iowa State and Tennessee State. I'm going to take Iowa State on to the round of 32. In the East, Duke and Ohio State. I'm going to take Duke. St. John's and Kansas. I'm going to take St. John. Louisville and Michigan State. I'm going to take the Cardinals to defeat Tom Izzo in Michigan State in that round of 32. Although I have a lot of respect for Michigan State, I've seen them play multiple times this season. I think they have a great team, but I'm going to take Louisville. UCF versus UConn. I'm going to take UConn. One to the South. Florida and Clemson. I'm going to take Florida. McNeese and Nebraska. I'm going to take McNeese to upset Nebraska. VCU and Illinois. I'm going to take Illinois. Texas A&M and Houston. I'm going to take Houston. On to the West, we got Arizona and Villanova. I'm going to take Arizona. Wisconsin and Arkansas. I'm going to take Arkansas. BYU and Kennesaw State. I'm going to take BYU. Miami and Purdue. I'm going to take Purdue. Michigan and Georgia. This is Purdue coming off of that Big Ten championship, by the way. Michigan and Georgia. I'm going to take Michigan. Texas Tech and Alabama. I'm going to take Texas Tech. Although they are injury, without one of their best players, J.A.T. Toppin. I think all the drama surrounding Alabama would cause them to not be able to play to the best of their ability, coming off of a close game versus Hofstra, and they just would be caught off guard and get beat by a team without their best player. Unfortunately, it'd be like that. All right, Miami, Ohio versus SMU. Miami, Ohio versus Virginia. I'm gonna take Virginia. I think Miami, Ohio, great season, but if Virginia shows up, I think they're the better basketball team. Santa Clara and Iowa State. I'm gonna take Iowa State. All right, on to the Sweet 16. We got Duke and St. John's. I'm gonna take Duke. Louisville and UConn. I'm gonna take UConn. Florida and McNeese. I'm gonna take Florida, but I think that'll be a good game if it happens. Illinois and Houston. I'm gonna take Houston. Arizona, Arkansas. Got to take Arizona, even though Arkansas is coming off that SEC championship. I think Arizona is one of the best teams in the country, arguably the best team in the country. All right, we got BYU and Purdue. I'm going to take Purdue. We got Michigan and Texas Tech. I'm going to take Michigan. We got Virginia and Iowa State. I'm going to take Virginia. All right, we got the Elite Eight here. We got Duke and UConn. In the East, I'm going to take... Ooh, this is tough. This is really tough. Really tough. Man. I'm going to take Duke. We got Florida and Houston. I'm going to take the defending champs to go back to the Final Four. We got Arizona and Purdue. I'm going to take Arizona. Got Michigan and Virginia. I'm going to take Virginia. Upset the number 1 seed. My Final Four, I got Duke and Florida. I got Arizona and Virginia. I'm going to take Duke to beat Florida, go to the national championship. I got Arizona and Virginia. I'm going to take Arizona. I got Duke and Arizona in the national championship in Indianapolis. I'm going to take two great teams. 2 teams who finished after their conference tournament with a record of 32-2. So, with that being said, I'm going with the Arizona. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm going with the Duke Blue Devils to cut down the nets this year to win. the national championship and to avenge themselves from their tough loss last year in the Final Four to Houston. So with that being said, I just created my March Madness brackets live on the J.A.T side. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, feel free to show me some love in the comments and be sure to share this episode with somebody. And also let me know what your March Madness bracket looks like. Who are your biggest upsets? Who do you think is going to be the Cinderella this year? Who is the team that you think will be able to ultimately win the whole thing? Let me know who you got. And the comment for the code word, if you made it all the way to the end, comment the word ball for basketball. Comment the word ball if you made it to the end of this episode without this episode going on any longer. Until next time, I'm your host, Jalen Austin Taylor, who is picking the Duke Blue Devils to win this year's men's March Madness tournament. And for the women's March Madness tournament, I'm picking UConn to win that. Until next time.